Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Art of Life Project. I'm your host, Tash Mitch, and today I've got Paul Hughes with me, who is an amazing being of light. I absolutely have really enjoyed talking to him so far. Paul started his career off as a physicist and now has gone through the trajectory of life, has basically gone towards working with people in order to help them to center themselves, to release any trauma, any negativity, and to come back to the depth of their being. He works this way through Vivation. He's a director of Vivation. And he's also what we would probably call a master teacher of Vivation, basically, of the process of letting go and letting be. And so, welcome, Paul. It's really, really good to have you here.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. Thank you.
So, the Art of Life project was really set up to explore the question of what it means to make your life a work of art. And I know your journey, has really included embracing yourself and embracing your own inner artist, basically. So, if I was to pose that question to you, how would you answer that? What does it mean to make your life a work of art?
Wow. Okay. I think it means to be open and to a deeper part of ourselves, to surrender to something bigger,
Mm,
to cultivate a playfulness and a gentleness with ourselves and a playfulness with life. And having that playful attitude opens up, I think, a lot of creative pathways
mm,
that we would not have ordinarily seen or been open to because of our analytical mind.
mm,
And so when we're open to this sort of playful, creative innocence, in a sense, we are now open to being receptive to that creative impulse that I think is actually within all of us. And we're all connected to Source, and there's this creative life force, as I put it. And if we can do that, I think to the degree that we can be open and receptive to that, we begin to flow. We get in, they call it the flow state, where
yeah.
people say, well, when I'm in a flow state, I'm so creative. It's almost like I'm a channel, I'm a conduit. And I certainly feel that when I'm doing painting, for example.
Mm,
And I think that the art of life is to be open to that, to be a conduit, and to be able to express that part of ourselves, that truer, authentic part of ourselves. And we can do it in anything. It doesn't have to be painting. I mean, we can do it if we're an accountant.
yeah.
I had an extremely creative accountant. I mean, after all, like, you want them to be a bit creative, right? To find ways to to find ways to help you not
Yeah,
pay
it
so
does
much money,
help.
if legally, of course.
Yeah.
But creativity can exist and manifest itself in absolutely every moment and every part of our life, regardless of who we are
Mm,
and what it is that we do. And so
mm,
I think that to be a creative person, again, people have this idea. Well, how do I make my work of art a masterpiece? I'm this boring guy that does accounting or physics or something. I'm like, no. We can absolutely be creative.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit because Vivation is such an amazing process, especially the way you describe it. Tell me how that helps people to actually open themselves to
Yeah,
making their
yeah,
life a work of
yeah.
art.
Well, just the fact. Okay, so there's five elements. The first element is breathing,
Mm,
and the first part of the breath is we have to inhale.
yes.
And inhale, inspiration. The word inspiration comes from inspire. So right away,
Yeah.
it's connected linguistically to inspiration, to creativity. When we open up to breath, we're naturally opening up to that part of ourselves. We're embracing life. And
Mm,
physiologically, if you look at this purely like mechanistically, when we breathe, we can go a month without eating, a week without drinking, but we can only go a few minutes without breathing. So the art of life is the art of breath, and
yes.
to breathe.
Yeah.
We are opening ourselves up already to the feelings in our body, to the
Mm,
creative process. And
mm,
uh, what happens is those feelings that are in the way, those blocks, are going to naturally come up. When we're opening up to embracing the joy,
mm,
naturally the right feeling that's going to come up is going to be the feeling that's in the way.
yes.
But that's where the exhale comes in. So, okay, we open up, uh-oh, I don't like the way this is feeling right now. Got something coming up. That's okay.
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
exhale, we totally let it go, and there's
yeah.
that big relaxation, and we
Mm,
get to let go of whatever that was.
mm,
Opening up to the joy, letting go of the negativity.
mm,
Every exhale.
mm.
So that's just the first element.
Wow. And
And
that's such a huge element because
yeah, yeah.
basically we we connect with life through the breath to a large extent. And you know, when we're actually really tense and we're breathing quite shallowly, we the connection we have with other people is always reflected in that, you know, because you're somewhere in your head or you're somewhere in the contractions of your body. So to be actually present with someone else is almost impossible. Whereas if you can actually get into your breath, that it allows for that flow of connection to happen and that connection with life. So when you say life is breath, it is so true. I actually completely agree with you there.
Yeah, I like to. Many people have heard of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. It's a very
Yes.
beautiful and eloquently written book. Um, but the essence of being present, it's very simple. I told my friend James this. There was this big discussion on Facebook about the presence, and I said, well, in my work, it's very simple. Just paying attention to the strongest feeling in your body in that moment.
Yeah.
It is that simple. When you're feeling the feelings in your body, you're present, and the reason why is your body, your physicality,
Yeah.
is here.
Mm.
Your mind, I can go into the future. I can go into the past. I can worry about tomorrow. I can worry about what I did yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the body is now. It
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah.
And just that gentle shifting of awareness, when we gently bring our awareness to the body, is something as simple as just the pressure of the chair.
Mm.
We have immediately connected to the presence. And that's, as you said, we're present.
Absolutely.
And
So, when you think of making your work your art, because through our conversation, you've been describing the process of actually internally being an artist from the day you were born, really, and actually having to go through the life process of coming back to that full circle, really, to actually embrace and understand what it means to actually, you know, shine your inner artist. So when you think of making your work your art,
mm,
what comes up with that?
yeah, that one is that's one that I think for me personally was a very long journey. I think I had this a very different idea about what work was. Was like, my dad was pretty strict, and I had this idea of work, and work had this negative component, and it was, I have to work to live. I don't like my job. It's
Yeah,
just a necessity.
yeah,
And so for many, many years, I had a lot of negativity around that.
yeah,
Um, and I think with the process that I do, surrendering to the feelings, it's that creativity that says, well, wait a second. This does not have to be a source of negativity.
yeah,
I can actually, living and making a living and making money can be a very positive thing. Just like I water the trees or the plants, they need the water. I need to be able to make a living. And this can become a creative process. And so we have to be, it's like creative destruction. We have to be open a little bit to our inner self and what it is what is our real vocation? What
yeah,
are we here to do? What are we meant to do?
yes,
And when we listen to that, our work begins to shift. Either one, the job that we're in, we find a whole new way of being in our work. We have a whole new way a whole new context of appreciating the work and having gratitude for the
mm,
job that we already have.
mm,
And we begin to see how positive it is, and we focus on the glass half full.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden, we start to see all the opportunities at our existing vocation, and then it becomes an art form. It becomes creative, or we become playful, become open.
yes,
Or it might mean changing the vocation,
yes,
or changing our job, or shifting our career, or finding something that's more in line with our values.
mm,
But either way, no matter what, as we cultivate that artistic attitude and that creative attitude and that receptive attitude, naturally, over time, our vocation, our work will become a work of art, and it will
yes,
become more reflective of our true self.
yes,
That's
yeah. It's interesting that point you brought up about us, people, and you know, I think as a society we can have that perception of work. The word work. It's almost like the
yeah.
thing that you do on a Monday morning that kind of like
It's,
you have to always drag yourself there. It's kind of, you know, and that concept of work almost being really accepted that is what work should feel like. to the concept that you're describing of really work being tapping into your own creative flow and allowing that creative flow to actually come through you in the way that it needs to. The tapping into the creative flow element can be a little bit scary for people as a thought process, and obviously for you as well, when you think of yourself in your beginning of your life as like, that whole artist and what that really meant in your perception at that point, and how scary that was to kind of like open yourself up fully to that. I think that's one of the things that, we as a society, generally speaking, that coming to the thing that we actually really love that allows our flow to come through can be really tough, for
Yeah,
some people.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we're opening up to us, we're becoming a little vulnerable, and
Yeah.
we're opening up to something bigger than ourselves, which means that it very likely could lead us outside of our comfort zone
Mm.
and our preconceived ideas of what something looks like or is. And naturally, we have to confront those fears and other emotions
Mm.
that we hadn't previously.
Mm.
But the result, and invariably, in my experience, is if we can really surrender to that process, if we can heed the siren call, if you will,
Yeah.
the hero's journey,
Yeah.
we always will end up being rewarded with abundance and bounty and playfulness and creativity and all the things that we truly want in this life. Um, it will happen,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But there is a creative destructive component that's potentially there. It's like, oh wow, if I surrender to this right now, I could end up like quitting. What will my husband think, or my wife think, or
Yes.
my
Yeah.
children, or
Yeah.
and there's a lot there that's going on, and it can open up a lot of that. And I tell people, well, it's not like you're losing your free will.
Mm.
It's not like but at some point, yes, you do have to heed the call, I
It's a
think.
leap into the unknown. It's kind of like jumping out of an aeroplane with a parachute on. You kind of hope the
Yes.
parachute's going to open up. But
Having done that,
there's
I
no
can relate.
guarantees, you put yourself in that situation. But to a large extent, the
Mm,
payoff is just exceptional,
absolutely.
because the
Ab-
payoff is really you being completely true to who you are.
yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So, when you think of tapping into your inner creator, because that's a real good lead on, I think, because literally that whole leaping out of the parachute thing, the payoff is tapping into your inner creator, right? But
Yes, right.
when you think of tapping into your inner creator, what comes up for that? What do you do to get that inner artist, into your mindful being, basically?
Well, of course, I have my own method,
Mm.
which is the breath and feeling awareness and relaxation and enjoyment. So I'm doing the breath that I pointed out, relaxing into that, feeling the feeling, and being open to whatever joy I can find.
Mm.
And that process of mindfulness, of feeling awareness, um, is what gets me into that creative space. It's what
Mm.
opens the portal, if you will. It's
Mm.
what opens the floodgate, and that's where that creative flow can start to happen. I think for me, I have a really hard time separating creativity with joy,
Yes.
with heart-centeredness, and with playfulness, and with feeling awareness. I
Mm.
mean, artists are sensitive, emotional beings by nature. I think it's
Yes.
very hard to separate the two,
Yeah.
and so for me, it is really about really tapping in and being at peace and learning to cultivate unconditional love and acceptance for who we are as beings. And for me, it's the breath and the
Mm.
feeling awareness and tapping into that inner joy.
Mm.
And through that, that's where that creative force comes. Whether
Mm.
it's in my job, whether it's in a very difficult situation, which doesn't seem creative in the slightest, it could be dealing with a very logistical, deal with something.
Mm.
But creativity is so essential, even in those.
Mm.
It's especially essential in those technical situations.
I'm
Um,
getting a sense as well when you speak of that, of how important it is to have a creative instinct when it comes to problem solving, because what you're
yeah,
describing is really that sort of given something that appears to be a tough challenge. How do you find the solution?
right, right.
And that is really about tapping into the creative instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Paul, thank you so much. This has
Yeah,
been an
great.
amazing conversation. It's been amazing meeting you, and I'm really glad that you've lent your presence to the Art of Life project. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no, no worries. My pleasure.